Our law firm does a few hundred DUI consultations every year, and one of the most common questions we get is, how long will a DUI stay on my record? Hi, I'm attorney Derek Martin. Our law firm represents hundreds of people charged with DUI in Chicago and the suburbs every year. So this is a good question to answer, right? How long does a DUI stay on my record? Something you're certainly going to want to know if you're charged with a DUI. And so the first thing we got to talk about is, it depends. It depends on the outcome of the case. If you're watching this now, chances are you were just charged with a DUI and it's an open pending case. There is no outcome. There is no resolution to that charge yet. And so that's really relevant, right? Because if you are found not guilty, or if the charge is dismissed, well then there's a record of you being charged. There's a record of you being found not guilty or dismissed, but you can then take the extra steps, it's called an expungement, to get rid of that record, erase that record. It wouldn't show up then on any background search or anything, right? And that's only available if you get the case dismissed or are found not guilty. And so that's why I'm saying, the outcome to your charge matters. We need to know that before we can really truly answer this question of how long it stays on your background. So if you're dismissed or found not guilty, you can get it removed from your background, gone, right? Wonderful. Now, the opposite end of the spectrum is a conviction. If you are convicted of this DUI, there will be penalties, right? Things to do, whether that's jail time, fines and fees, certainly, classes to do, treatment, drug and alcohol treatment, community service. There can be many things, but you are convicted, and that conviction goes on your record. And when we talk about our record, we're talking really about two things here. We're talking about your driving record, which is really called your Secretary of State driving abstract. DUI is a driving-related offense, and so the Secretary of State down in Springfield wants to know about it. And they do know about it, and they will record the fact that you were convicted of a DUI against your record, driving record. Additionally, we're talking about a criminal record here. All DUI charges are criminal charges in Illinois. All right, so if you got a DUI, you got a criminal charge. And so you have a criminal record as well, right? And so the outcome to this DUI then gets recorded against your criminal record as well. And so that's relevant in terms of, answering questions on job applications and wherever else, right? And so a conviction is what you want to avoid. The question is, okay, fine, that goes on my driving record. I was convicted of a DUI now. It goes on my driving record. It goes on my criminal record for how long? The answer is forever. It does not come off. That is a permanent record. I've had clients call me and say, my last DUI was 25 years ago. Why does that matter? Well, it still matters, right? It's still there. Even if you got a DUI 25 years ago, this will be considered your second DUI. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. And that's because it stays on your record permanently. There are other outcomes to DUI charges, things like court supervision, very common. It's often, depending on your circumstances, it can be a good outcome, right? Because it avoids a conviction. But again, there is a permanent record of that. You are only allowed supervision on a DUI once in Illinois. You cannot get it a second time. And so how do they keep track of that? Well, they keep track by, if you got supervision on a DUI, that gets recorded permanently. That way they know that you cannot get supervision again that second time, even if it's 25 years later. An outcome, a disposition of supervision is permanently recorded. However, it is still far better than a conviction for a number of reasons, the least of which is, you can probably keep your license if you get supervision. You probably cannot keep your license if you get a conviction. So there's a whole bunch of things to unpack here, but what we're trying to answer here is the question of how long will the DUI stay on my record? The very next question you have to ask is, what is the outcome? If it's dismissed or not guilty, wonderful, you can take some steps to get rid of it. Almost everything else, there is going to remain some record of it. And that record does not expire, right? It doesn't fall off after a certain number of years. It will remain there. That is the nature of the DUI charge in Illinois. Hope that answers some questions for you. There's still a lot to unpack there. It really has to do with your specific situation. You're going to want to have a consultation with a lawyer if you're charged with the DUI. You can ask this question, you can ask all your other questions, and hopefully get some clarity. Find a lawyer that you know, you like, you trust, and you can move forward to have them represent you, because you do want a lawyer if you're charged with a DUI. Good luck.